Welcome to Alpha Bites, where we serve up bite-sized insights to help you grow your business and your bank account. Our host, Alex Zinni, CEO of Alpha Key Digital, dives into the latest marketing trends, proven strategies, and actionable tips to scale your online presence. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, Alpha Bites delivers the keys to unlocking your success. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hey everybody, I'm Alex Zinni, your host of Alpha Bites, where I sit down with business leaders and entrepreneurs to learn more about what makes them tick and to learn from their success. Past guests include Dr. Paul Stevens, Dr. Martina Moore, Dr. David Gutman, and Dr. Kara Ogren of Synergy Physical Therapy and Wellness. We are in our first season, so stay tuned for more great guests. But first, this episode is brought to you by Alpha Key Digital. Located in the vibrant heart of Northeast Ohio, Alpha Key Digital delivers revenue-generating digital marketing solutions tailored to plastic surgeons, dermatologists, mental health professionals, and any private practice looking to grow their patient base. From cutting-edge SEO and social media strategies to high-performing websites and pay-per-click campaigns, our expert team is committed to driving measurable results that elevate your brand. If you want to unlock your business's full potential, then visit our website at alphakeydigital.com to book an introductory call with a member of our team. I want to give a quick shout out to Jeff Monreal, who is a guest on this show and a great friend to today's guest and mine. If you want to check out Jeff, please look at his website, jeffmonrealfuneralhome.com, to learn more about him. So today's guest is Dan Regovich. Dan Regovich is a seasoned recruiter and headhunter with over 27 years of experience, specializing in connecting top-tier talent with leadership roles in the plastics industry. As the owner of Augur Group, LLC, he has worked with companies nationwide, helping them build exceptional teams in engineering, technical, and even sales positions. Dan's deep industry knowledge and commitment to excellence have made him a trusted partner for organizations seeking to elevate their workforce, which is an extremely important thing in today's landscape. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, I appreciate you taking the time to be here. So tell everybody how you got started and when you created AJ Augur.
So I got started in the business. It was actually back in 1997. I was working at a large bank, and I was looking for a new job. And I worked with a recruiter. He didn't wind up finding me a job, but I got to know him pretty well. Went to another company, and at that company, I did a lot of hiring. And in those days, we advertised in the newspaper. Mm-hmm. So he would just go through newspaper, see who was advertising, and send his business card out. He sent his business card out to me, and I said, hey, and I called him back, and I said, hey, Ray, this is Dan Regovich. I got your card. He's like, oh, do you need to hire people from me? I'm like, no, I just thought I'd say hi. We got to talking, and he said to me, do you ever think about doing recruiting? I said, no. He said, why don't we come and talk? And that's how I got started. So I didn't stay at that company long. I did a lot of hiring in that time at that company, but I saw the potential in the industry, and that was it. That was over 27 years ago.
Wow. So when you decided to take that leap and become a business owner, is that something you've always wanted to do, or was it something that you just took a leap of faith and were spontaneous and then started your company?
You know, I didn't always have it as a on my bucket list or to-do list or a want, but it just kind of happened. Mm-hmm. In my previous firm, I was there, and it was the Great Recession. Mm-hmm. And they were just cutting people, and basically said, we can't keep you on, I was on a draw. Things are so bad, we can't keep you on a draw, but we could do some other things to help you still work here and stay afloat. And things were rough. Mm-hmm. And it's at that point, I just decided, well, if I'm going to do that still for another company, I might as well just do it for myself. Mm-hmm. So I just decided to start my own at that point. And it made sense to me at the time. Even though I had a little 1-year-old at home, my wife had just quit her job the year before to be a stay-at-home mom. There's a lot of things that fell in place to make that happen. Mm-hmm. But I decided to go on my own and do my own thing.
Yeah. And that's not an easy decision for people to make. What were those early days like? Were there sleepless nights, or were you very comfortable going right into owning your own business?
No, there were sleepless nights then, and there still are, almost 16 years later.
Mhm.
But it was a little nerve wracking. But I've been doing this for, by the time that happened, it was 12 or 11, 12 years already, and it's mostly a commission business.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like you're already self-employed,
Mhm.
and so why take the risk for somebody else when I can just take that risk for myself and have more upside? The upside's much bigger.
Mhm.
The downside's much bigger. But I just look at it as the upside. The upside was big. So I've already taken the risk, basically being self-employed to some extent all these years. So why not just do it for myself?
Mhm.
And it's been almost 16 years, and it's definitely paid off. Definitely not easy.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have the personality for it. And 16 years is a long time, to be in business. So obviously things are going well. Building exceptional teams, engineering, technical, and even sales. Why do companies, need a recruiting, firm, company, agency to work with? Why do they come to you usually?
Well, companies are limited in what they can do to find people. They basically advertise, and they'll advertise in certain areas, and that's all they can do.
Hmm.
Uh, so they have to see what comes in by email or whatever form they're going to advertise in. And if they can't find what they need, then they're just kind of stuck. And that's when they usually come to me.
Hmm.
It's something pretty specific, industry specific, skill specific, and they need someone to go out and proactively recruit those people and bring the way I see it is bring the position to their attention.
Hmm.
And that's what I do. I present opportunities to people that are really not always looking on the job boards for positions. Maybe they have it in the back of their mind that, hey, one day, I need to get out of this place, but I'm just so busy, I don't have time to look. And then all of a sudden they get a call or an email from me with something that's right up their alley, that's right in their industry. And then we have a conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're making those connections and you're getting that visibility that they might not have on their own. So what makes like AJ Augur different from other companies that stands out?
So the way I see it, I've been doing this a long time. I specialize in plastics, which takes me into several different areas within plastics. A lot of it winds up being in packaging,
Hmm.
like some automotive. It could be resin, blow molding, injection molding. But I've been around long enough to I've worked in virtually every aspect of plastics. I have relationships with those areas, and when I work on a position, I got about a 95% chance of filling it.
Wow.
And that's because I use the same process every time. I go through I have several different databases I use for candidates to reach out. I'll email everybody at first. And if I don't hear back from the people I really want to talk to, I call them. And then I'll go through and get it done very thoroughly.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like a sales funnel. You start off real wide and you kind of narrow it down, and I can get it done quickly too. Because, you know, I've been able to leverage a lot of tools as well
Mhm.
and know how to use those tools to contact people efficiently and get up and moving very quickly. So for instance, I had a company contact me in October. They're a foreign company. They're looking to do manufacturing here. They do business here, but no manufacturing.
Mhm.
And it was mid October. No, it was early. It was early October, and they said we want to hire a salesperson and a general manager to start up our first plant here in the U.S. to do blow molded bottles,
Mhm.
and we need to get done by the end of the month. Like, oh, nobody moves that quick.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, are you ready to go? And they said, yeah, send us the invoice for the down payment. And they got that within the bank in a day, and they were just ready to roll. And so there was a sense of urgency there. They're very serious about hiring, so I
Mhm.
can put all my time and effort into that.
Mhm.
And along those lines, I don't do high volume either. I'll do very targeted positions,
Mhm.
and so I'm able to put time into those and give it the attention it needs, and then we can get it done pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And if and I'm not looking just to make a placement. I want the right person that's a fit, and I want them to be there for a long time.
Mhm.
And I'll pull any candidate out of the process anytime for any reason. I don't care.
Mhm.
I'm not going to be so desperate that, I'm trying to get any candidate to stick them in the fit. I just don't care. If they're not interested, that's fine.
Yeah.
Or if I think they're not being upfront with me, I'll pull them out. So, but we can get it done efficiently.
That speed is so valuable in today's economy because people want things quickly. And this is usually, like you said, not a quick process. So your ability to do that is amazing. How do you judge whether somebody, of course, you never know with 100%, but when you're looking at a candidate and connecting them with a potential company, how do you gauge culture fit and their ability to grow there?
This might sound almost cliche, but you have to take the time to talk to people as a person, not as a candidate, not as are they a fit, just to get to know the person.
Mm-hmm.
So most of my interviews with candidates have very little to do with the skills and skill sets and those things. It's about getting to know them,
mm-hmm.
and then I'll get into, hey, tell me about your experience with this, and they're so targeted. Usually, when I'm going after a person, or I shouldn't say going after, but when I'm presenting opportunities to them, they're in the similar position that I want to be done that I'm recruiting for.
Mm-hmm.
So I already got a good idea of their skill sets and things like that. It's more personality. It's more getting to know them, especially if it's like a relocation,
mm-hmm.
A position like that. Have you relocated before?
Mm-hmm.
Have you, if they mention they have kids, you got to be careful how you ask those questions because
Right.
it's legal in some states, or
mm-hmm.
Just to understand what a relocation means for them and their family.
Mm-hmm.
And that's key right there, especially in a position like that. But it's getting to know the person.
Mm-hmm.
Then the details later on the skill sets.
Yeah, I think you can really learn a lot about people just by asking them, just having basic conversations, like you said. How do you judge a company and their culture fit and their, whether or not you even want to, work with this company, or what are some things that you look for?
So you look for the same thing. You look for, hey, I'm talking to the hiring manager. Do we get along?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they being realistic? And there's certain red flags you look for. One of the big red flags is, hey, Dan, we're looking for a salesperson. We want someone who can bring in an instant book of business and hit the ground running. Mm-hmm. And usually that's when I hit the ground running, the opposite direction. But are they cooperative? Is the company cooperative? Are they realistic?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the big things. And how urgent is it?
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's not urgent, I'm going to move a lot faster than they want to, and I'll be a pain in their butt.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things they look for. But it's got to be a realistic opening. And after 27 years, you can tell what's realistic and what's not. If the salary's right,
mm-hmm.
and if you're telling a company, hey, your salary's off. I know this because I work on these positions all the time. And if they don't want to take that advice, then there's no way you're going to fill a position.
Right.
So that's also one of the reasons why I fill 95% of my positions, because companies will put down a down payment, which means they got some skin in the game. They're serious.
Mm-hmm.
And I know if I can fill it or not going into it. So if I don't think I can fill it, I'll tell them. So I can't help you. I probably turn down more positions. I definitely turn down more positions than I work on.
Wow. And what are some of the reasons why? Is it because the salary is just not there? They're not being realistic? Or what's one of the reasons why you turn them down?
Yeah, it could be the salary is not realistic. And that's a big one. That happens often. And companies need to do their homework on what a position pays. It could be, for example, I had a company, they had a plant in the middle of New Mexico, and they needed someone with a plant manager with injection molding background, and they were not willing to pay relocation. Mm-hmm. So you do some quick research. You have one plant, another injection molding plant within a 60-mile radius where you might have someone that's a fit. Your candidate pool is one.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe you find a couple stragglers, but maybe two or three, mm-hmm. and you're paying a little bit light, and you don't want to pay any relocation or anything like that. And I can't help you.
Yeah.
And if I did that search, it would take me a minute or it'd take me 10 minutes because I can just go to that one plant, do a quick search to see who's the plant manager, and if there's any others around, and shoot him a note, and I'd be done.
Wow. Yeah, that skill is huge. That skill set is huge. Absolutely. If we talk about your business itself, well, what are some of the things, because you've seen a lot of changes over the years, I'm sure in technology, both internet and just check technology within the plants themselves. But for your business, what gave you traction and results that you look back on to grow your business?
Well, the answer to that question is what you just asked me. How do you decide what to work on?
Hmm.
That is the key to the business. The key to the business is, are you working on a realistic job? And is the company realistic about what they're looking for? That is the key to the business right there. And along with that, you always have to be developing new business. Like any company, you always have to have a funnel going, a sales funnel going. But you have to work on the right jobs, because the turnover in this business, this is a hard business. Turnover in this business, I've heard this stat over the years. They say that it's 98% within the first year and a half.
Wow.
So most people don't make it. And the people that go after that stay long enough, I think it's 5 years or so, stay forever.
Hmm.
But it's high because people just get so excited. Hey, I got a job to work on, but it's never going to pay out. You're never going to fill the position. And that's why there's high turnover. It's a tough business because a lot of people want to waste your time. They're not really serious about hiring, and you got to figure out who it is. But that's the key to success. Figure out who's real.
And how do you do that? Is it the down payment, like you said, so there's skin in the game, or how have you developed over the years to weed out the people who are just, serious and not serious?
The down payment is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
The down payment is huge. But you have to present the down payment as someone's going to get their money's worth, right? You can't just take down payment from somebody and not produce.
Mm-hmm.
Because the pressure is really on when you're taking a down payment. So you really need to come through and produce. And so the way I tell companies is, if I'm working on a contingency basis, meaning you don't pay me unless you hire the person,
mm-hmm.
I got a 10% chance of filling the position.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have a goal to fill 10 positions a year, that means I need to work on 100 positions.
Yeah.
If I'm working on 100 positions a year to fill 10, I'm adding very little value to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
However, if I'm working on one with money down, I got a 95% chance or better. So in order to fill 10 positions, I got to work on 10 point whatever, or just say 11 positions. So I can focus a lot of time and energy and be super thorough.
Mm-hmm.
and fill that position. And it's just a lot less work. But I could be more thorough in each search because I'm not spread so thin.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. So that down payment and the company understanding that is the key.
Yeah, because if you're, like you said, if you're running around trying to get 100 candidates, and only 10 of them will end up actually being one, but then you get that down payment and they're serious, then you can really focus. It makes your time way more efficient. And then it makes the time for the client more efficient too, because they know that they're getting somebody who's very focused. So it's a win-win for everybody to do it that way.
Right. So on average, I'll send them 6 candidates. They'll interview on average 4.5, I think it is, or something like that, and they'll hire one. So it's not, if anybody out there who's done any hiring and puts it on the internet, you get 100, 200, 300, 400 resumes. And maybe you're lucky if one's a fit or even close.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very targeted, very efficient.
Yeah.
And then I'll walk the candidate through the whole hiring process and set up interviews and debrief and all that too as well.
Yeah, that's great. Kind of how important is AI in what you're hearing from employers, or is that really starting to make its way into resumes and jobs, or have we not seen that yet?
I don't think it is
mm-hmm.
As much as people realize it could help them.
Mm-hmm.
So I talk, and I'm just getting it more into it myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's so many different AI tools. The popular one's ChatGPT, which I use.
Mm-hmm.
I think candidates could use that to their advantage to write resumes, to write emails, to write cover letters if they wanted to. I think that's a huge help to candidates. I was showing a small company in Wisconsin, privately owned company, called me, and he said, "Dan, I don't have a job order, or excuse me, a job description. I don't really know what to write." And I said, well, hey, Bill, just give me some of the basics.
Hmm.
And so I plugged in Chat GPT and I said, hey, this is this whatever company of this size. And I gave a few details on the position and it just spit out just a great job description. And while we're on the phone, I sent it to him. He
Hmm.
said, wow. And I said, if you don't feel like typing and you have Windows, just do Windows, your Windows button H and you can just speak it into there. You don't have to type it out,
Right, right.
So a lot of people, especially maybe smaller companies, don't understand the technology always.
Totally.
But I think it's going to be huge. I think it's already making a difference.
Yeah.
But I don't even understand or grasp the total usefulness of it yet myself.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's used much yet in hiring.
And you're way ahead of the curve on that too. We'll have to talk offline. There's a couple really cool they're like Replit, which is actually a way that you can create your own AI tools. So there might be a potential there for you to kind of be a pioneer in that space with creating AI tools for your clients. So I use
Definitely, yeah.
ChatGPT. Yeah, there's ChatGPT is great. I like to do it too. Like if I'm writing a sales email, I'll say it, write this in the style of like Jordan Belfort, from Wolf of Wall Street, or Tony Robbins, or you can really get creative with it. And I think that we're just starting to scratch the surface of it. But to kind of really shift here, what's a challenge that you see in your industry in the future? Because a lot of people, with AI and just in the way that things are going, they a lot of people fear that there's going to be big disruptions, in manufacturing, engineering, technology. What do you see a future challenge in your space?
I see the challenges, and I think every industry has the same challenge,
Hmm.
but the barrier to entry in the recruiting business is small.
Hmm.
There's not much to get into it, and AI does help make things easier. So the challenge for me personally is cutting through all of that, all those people they get into it and they think it's easy. They think it's easy money,
Hmm.
and I tell you, it's not.
Yeah.
It's the easiest money to work so hard for in your life, but for me, that's a challenge. People have also said, "Hey, I think AI is going to take over recruiting.
Hmm.
They're going to put you out of a job." And I don't worry about that because that's the same thing people said when the internet. So I got into this in '97, right when the internet was starting to come out and become more popular.
Hmm.
And I remember talking to an HR lady at a local Cleveland firm, and she said she started laughing. Ha, you're going to be out of a job in a year.
Hmm.
So all the internet did was make it, the job postings online instead of the newspaper,
Hmm.
and get you more candidates that are unfit. And I think AI has a lot of great tools, but you can't replace a conversation. You can't replace the conversation we're having. You can't
Hmm.
replace the human interaction with another human being and bonding and having things in common. You can't replace that.
Yeah.
And you can't have AI just some computer generated voice having conversations.
Hmm.
Like, I don't see that happen. There's just human interaction that AI is not going to be able to duplicate.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. It's like, that it's great that you mentioned that and with the internet thing, because yeah, the internet did hurt probably some people, but it was people who didn't adopt the internet and start using it. And I think with AI, it's the same thing. It's not going to replace us, but it's going to hurt those who don't learn how to use it for sure.
I agreed. Yes, because there's so many things I do now that are different than just a couple years ago. They're such time savers, way to find information, way to write emails, just sending, if you're doing marketing,
Hmm.
uh, recruiting. Yeah, there's definitely things that are a huge help, and there's probably so many more things I could be doing.
Hmm.
Um, but you only have so much time in a day.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I feel the same way. Looking back on your career, what's one of the proudest moments that you can look back on and say, you were really happy or proud of a particular success?
I would say uh, the fact that I could go on my own and be successful, allow my wife to be a stay-at-home mom and raise kids. Now, she recently went back to work about a year ago, but the kids are in high school now. So, but and I could provide for my family, and I had the flexibility to be at every sporting event, every choir concert, every little thing that went on. I could be there. and still maintain the business, provide for my family. To me, that's the biggest thing. And there's some satisfaction knowing that you can make it work on your own. I'm not dependent on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I eat what I kill, and I provide. So I work on 100% commission, and no one can say I just collect a paycheck. Some people try to tell me that, like, you didn't earn it. This is too easy. Like there's nothing easy.
Yeah, totally. That's beautiful. And it's obviously that family is very important to you. And that kind of leads me to my next question, which is your company, AJ Augur. How did you come up with that name?
So that is my great great grandmother, Aletha Jane Augur. And when we were forming the business, my wife and I were talking. I said, well, all the training I ever heard about starting your own business and recruiting, they say, name the business that has nothing to do with recruiting. Like, don't call it, Dan Regovich staffing or staffing or recruiting. Don't call it anything like that. Name it totally unrelated, like monster.com, it has nothing to do with hiring, Monster.
Right.
And so we were just going through names, my kids' names, and my wife goes, Aletha Jane Augur, AJ Augur. I'm like, that's it. Because I have a picture, you could see it on my LinkedIn profile. I have a picture of her, and it looks like me wearing a wig and a dress back in the late 1800s. I have that original picture in its original frame, and it's a beautiful frame and a beautiful picture. And I actually have more pictures from Grandma Augur that she took back in the late 1800s. And she's in some of those. And so I can tell all the ones with her handwriting on the back. I feel like I have a special connection to Grandma Augur. And so that picture, everyone sees it and laughs. If I would have thought of it, I would have brought it here with me and just showed it right here. But it's pretty funny. It looks like me in drag. And me, I have 5 brothers. We all look a lot alike. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Grandma Augur had blonde hair, blue eyes, even though in the picture she had a wig on. So I thought it was funny. So that's how AJ Augur, I just thought it was funny. And I think Grandma Augur has blessed us. Maybe not for the part where I say she looks like a man, but she had her own ranch, her own homestead. She was a hard working woman and just didn't have an easy life.
And what a fitting name for, an organization that's built on, connecting people in work too, hardworking, that ethic. And it's just a nice homage to your family. So thanks I always wondered that. And then I saw that you posted on LinkedIn recently, which, by the way, for anyone listening, make sure you go check out Dan Regovich's LinkedIn profile. He does a great job of posting really, really useful and helpful content and connecting people. So make sure you connect with Dan on there. And before I ask this last question, Dan, what is a good way for people to contact you, whether it's email, phone, or website?
The email, phone, or through LinkedIn, through the website is good. So dregevich@ajaugur.com, or my website is www.ajaugur.com. And I just type in Dan Regovich, you find me on LinkedIn. And then my phone number is on there too. So those are all great ways. I get a lot of people that email, a lot of people email for initial contact. Very few people call.
Yeah. So make sure you visit ajaugur.com and contact Dan. And for this last question, what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever gotten, whether it's personally or professionally, just something that jumps out to you?
The first thing that comes to mind is my former boss, Bob Gandy from RSI, who I worked for 8 years. I consider him my mentor in this business. And if it weren't for him, I would not be able to be in business for myself. He taught me business, he taught me recruiting, and he taught me how to handle the ups and downs of everything. So it weren't for him, but he always said, failure is not an option. And I've thought that many times throughout the years. Failure is not an option. You gotta keep working. You gotta figure it out, and you gotta keep moving, because quitting just doesn't work. So that's the best piece of advice I've ever been given in business, and I've always thought of that. And that's the first thing that pops in my head when you ask me that question.
Beautiful. Great advice. And for everybody listening, I'm sure that resonated with them. Failure is not an option. We have to continue. We have to move forward. There's pitfalls, there's ups and downs. And that's great advice. So thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Alpha Bites. Thank you, Dan, for being on here. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. I appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Alpha Bites. If you found today's insights valuable, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with your network. Let's keep the conversation going. Connect with us on social media or visit us at alphakeydigital.com/alphabytes. Remember, the keys to your digital success are just a bite away. See you next time.